So, welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. And I would have to say the big thing, I know there's actually a lot going on this week, Dr. Lopkin, but I would say one of the bigger things that I see is the whole situation where I guess leaking information about Trump's taxes. What impact do you think it's going to have? Well, first of all, what do you think about it? And then what impact?
Well, I mean, I don't really think there's going to be too much impact. The IRS
Can I,
has
can I interject? Can I
Go
interject
ahead.
one thing? Because I, crazy enough, thought it was kind of a positive. Like the guy went down and he came back up. It's the American story. I mean, it didn't even faze me.
No, and that's just it. I don't think it's going to phase many people. That
I mean, do you
information,
agree with me in terms of it's kind of the American story? Yeah.
it
Some
is. I
people,
mean,
they go down and they just continue to go down and they never even try to rise up anymore. They just call it quits. I've seen that before.
yeah. I mean, America is the land of success. We try. Everybody's aiming for it. But the fact of the matter is, nobody succeeds all the time. The most successful people are also the ones that fail most often. So seeing that he has failed in the past and still built himself back up, that's the American story. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, but what do you think with the press spinning it? Do you think it will become a big story?
I don't think they're going to be able to spin it long enough for it to matter. The fact of the matter is the IRS refused to give the Democrats the actual tax returns. The fact that Trump lost money, that's not a story. I'm pretty sure what the whole reason the Democrats wanted the tax returns is because we know the Trump organization has business interests in Russia. We know
Of
this
course.
because he owns the Miss Universe pageant. The Miss Universe pageant was broadcast from Russia. So everybody on the planet knows he has business interests there. They want to see it on the taxes so they can go, look, he's connected to Russia, and then try to make a big deal about that. But they're not going to get it.
Let's look at the bigger picture. Again, obviously I'm more biased, pro than con, but isn't this thing getting a little old?
It's getting very old.
I mean, unless you're just dying the wool, it's like, enough to
one of the last polls I saw about it said 66% of Americans are tired of it. They don't want impeachment. They just want it to go away already.
So why are Nadler and Schiff and others? I mean, is it because their franchise kind of depends on it?
Their party depends on it. They don't have a platform to beat Trump in 2020. The only shot a Democrat has right now of taking the presidency in 2020 is to have Trump impeached and thrown out. And if they can't do that, they're going to have to deal with 4 more years of him.
Which will be 4 years unlike the first 4 because he's going to be able to do what he wants to do.
Right, since he's not going to be running for re-election, he's going to have free reign. And I mean, he made comments today dealing with the trade war with China, how China wanted to delay things so they could possibly deal with a weak Democrat and get the upper hand. So he put forward that tariffs are going to go into action on Friday, and now China is back at the table. They're coming here to make a deal because that's the one thing he has done. He has taken on China. He has taken on unfair trade practices, which Obama never did, which Bush never did, which Clinton never did. So the
Agreed.
deep state hates this because he's actually making things happen.
I would agree in proving them wrong. Now, how about Barr? What happens with that?
Barr, again, the Democrats overstepped. They're talking about contempt of Congress because he refused to show up. Well, guess what happens? The way contempt of Congress works is that the House votes whether or not to have somebody held in contempt, and then assuming it passes the House, it gets passed on to the Justice Department for prosecution. Guess
There
what?
you go.
All Barr has to do is say, no, I'm not prosecuting myself.
But it's also, you're looking at the headlines, it actually also says top Dems insists Mueller report shows Russia artificially installed Trump in White House. Are they getting they're getting crazy with this stuff?
They're losing it. The Mueller report very clearly stated that there was no collusion between Trump and the Russians. It stated there was no collusion between anyone in Trump's campaign and the Russians. It said, yes, the Russians tried to influence through buying social media ads and spreading propaganda on social media. Guess what? We do the same thing in other countries.
So, winners and losers this week. Trump winner or loser?
Right now, it can go either way because the problems he's having with the Democrats, he's coming out a winner. But with the markets moving the way it is, he's coming out a loser on that. That's why he needs to get the China deal done. The economy for him is everything.
Everything.
If the economy tanks before the election, that's the one thing the Democrats can use against him.
Do you think he made a mistake? I mean, he's not the sometimes most cerebral guy. Do you think he just should have waited and not tackled China right yet?
No,
I mean, make the initial gestures, but then okay, done. Like wait till he has his second term.
No, he had to tackle China when he did, because to put the tariffs in place, to take the economic actions that are necessary to, really, put China behind the 8 ball, he had to do it when the economy was at its strongest. And that was right after the tax cut went in. If he waited, the economy would eventually slow down. It's already starting to slow. If it slows too much, the damage from the tariffs can't be absorbed. So he had to do it when he did.
Very good. Any final thoughts, Dr. Lopkin?
I think right now, everything is going to depend on the economy. The Democrats have nothing involved with the Mueller report. Mueller has basically exonerated Trump, and even they've got subpoena power now that they've got these committees, but the Justice Department can quash any one of those subpoenas in a court of law, because justice is supposed to be about a crime is committed, let's find out who did it. What they are doing is, we don't like this guy, we're going to find a crime to pin on him. And the justice system doesn't work that way.
I would agree, Lopkin. Thanks for another great exchange on Carnivore Bites.
See you next week.
You've been listening to Carnivore Bites, part of the Exvadio podcast network. You can catch us every week at exvadio.com/podcasts, on the iHeartRadio app, the Apple Podcasts app, the iTunes Store, Spotify, and wherever you find podcasts. You can also catch us live every Friday at 4 on WESU FM 88.1.